Life is full of relationships, family, friends, colleagues, and acquaintances, but not all relationships are beneficial. Sometimes we cling to toxic bonds out of obligation or fear of the unknown, even when they harm us more than they help. Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in logic, virtue, and wisdom, teaches us to prioritize peace, virtue, and self-respect over all else. Therefore, it can guide us in identifying when it is necessary to walk away from certain relationships, even if those relationships are with family or close friends. Letting go can be extremely difficult, particularly when societal norms and our emotions tell us to hold on. We may feel guilty, selfish, or ungrateful for even considering the end of a bond that has been part of our lives for so long. However, one of the core tenets of Stoicism is the realization that we are responsible for our peace and progress. Relationships should help us grow and maintain inner tranquility, not disrupt or diminish our well-being. This video will explore 7 clear signs it's time to cut ties with anyone, including family or friends, using Stoic principles as a guide to help you make this important decision. Sign 1. When the relationship is rooted in guilt, fear, or obligation, many relationships, especially family ties, are built on the foundation of obligation rather than love, respect, or mutual understanding. Stoicism teaches us to act from a place of virtue, not compulsion. If you feel that a relationship is maintained solely because you feel guilty for leaving or afraid of the consequences of letting go, it is worth reconsidering its place in your life. A Stoic would reflect on this through self-inquiry. Is this relationship contributing to my development as a rational and virtuous individual? Or is it merely fulfilling a role that society has imposed on me? Relationships should not be driven by guilt or societal pressure, but by a sense of harmony and purpose. When your relationship begins to feel like a chain around your neck, constantly dragging you down and filling you with dread or obligation, it's time to step back. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that freedom comes from within freedom, from the unnecessary ties and expectations of the world. Holding on to a relationship out of guilt is a form of self-imposed imprisonment. In such situations, cutting the relationship is not an act of selfishness, but an act of reclaiming your autonomy and mental peace. Sign 2. When the relationship constantly drains your energy, relationships should be a source of mutual support, encouragement, and emotional nourishment. However, there are times when a connection becomes lopsided, draining you emotionally and mentally. If you always feel exhausted after interacting with someone, if their presence weighs heavily on you like a dark cloud, that is a major sign the relationship may no longer be healthy. In Stoicism, energy conservation is closely related to the concept of ataraxia, or tranquility. Stoics value the calm mind and soul, and they view disturbances to that tranquility as barriers to living a virtuous life. Relationships that consistently sap your emotional or mental resources are obstacles to maintaining your tranquility. This can manifest in many forms: emotional manipulation, constant neediness, or continuous negativity. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher emperor, once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." If you find that your interaction with someone leaves you distressed and worn out, it's a sign you are giving too much of your emotional energy to a relationship that no longer serves you. Over time, this emotional depletion leads to resentment and bitterness, and it stunts your personal growth. Sign 3. When trust has been broken repeatedly. Trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. Once broken, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to fully restore. If someone, whether a family member or friend, repeatedly breaks your trust, undermines your confidence, or deceives you, this is a significant red flag. Stoicism teaches us to value integrity and wisdom in all areas of life, including our relationships. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, believed that our relationships must be governed by virtue. Virtue is intertwined with honesty, reliability, and respect. When someone continually betrays your trust, they are disregarding these core Stoic values. To continue a relationship with someone who disregards these virtues is to compromise your own ethical principles. Repeated betrayal corrodes the very fabric of a relationship. If a person continually breaks promises, lies, or behaves unethically, they are demonstrating that they are not invested in the relationship's well-being or in your peace of mind. A Stoic would recognize that the peace of mind, built on trust and virtue, is worth more than maintaining a connection with someone who causes emotional harm. Sign 4. When the relationship stifles your growth. Life is about constant improvement and progress. Relationships, ideally, should be a space where individuals encourage each other's growth and development. If you find that your relationship with someone is holding you back, preventing you from reaching your potential, or stifling your personal evolution, it is time to consider ending that bond. A key Stoic principle is eudaimonia, a state of flourishing, achieved by living in accordance with nature and reason. This concept implies continuous personal development. A relationship that discourages you from improving, either by pressuring you to conform, discouraging your goals, or devaluing your ambitions, is a barrier to eudaimonia. For example, if a family member or friend constantly belittles your efforts or criticizes your desire to grow, they are hindering your path to fulfillment. Stoicism teaches us to embrace challenges that promote self-discipline and wisdom, but to avoid unnecessary barriers that block progress. If you consistently feel stunted in a relationship, it may no longer align with the principles of a virtuous life. In a healthy relationship, both parties are invested in seeing each other grow and succeed. If this mutual support is absent, and one person seeks to limit the other's potential, it becomes a destructive force in life. Sign 5. When the relationship is based on dependency rather than mutual support. Healthy relationships are built on mutual support and interdependence, where both individuals uplift and assist each other. However, when a relationship is based on one-sided dependency, it becomes imbalanced and toxic. Stoicism advocates for self-sufficiency, autonomy, and inner strength. If you find yourself carrying the emotional or mental weight of someone else constantly, this is a sign of an unhealthy dynamic. There's a difference between supporting someone through difficult times and being their permanent emotional crutch. When the relationship becomes a drain because one party is completely reliant on the other for their sense of self-worth, purpose, or stability, the balance has shifted into a toxic space. This kind of dependency will erode your mental well-being over time. The Stoics believed in cultivating inner fortitude. To rely too heavily on someone else, or allow someone to rely entirely on you, is to neglect that fortitude. If someone in your life refuses to take responsibility for their own actions, emotions, or growth, and you find yourself constantly having to fix or rescue them, it's a sign that the relationship is imbalanced and unhealthy. Walking away in such cases is not abandonment, it's freeing both parties from an unsustainable dynamic. Sign 6. When you feel like you're not yourself in the relationship. Stoicism is built on authenticity and living according to one's true nature. If a relationship forces you to pretend to be someone you're not, to suppress your true feelings, or to abandon your core values, then that relationship is not in alignment with Stoic principles. Relationships should allow us to be our genuine selves, not contort ourselves into a mold to please others. When you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, hide your true thoughts, or adjust your behavior to keep someone else comfortable, you are living out of alignment with your true self. Over time, this dissonance will erode your sense of self-worth and inner peace. Epictetus emphasized that we should concern ourselves only with what is in our control. Changing who we are to meet someone else's expectations is a violation of that Stoic ideal, because we are putting the opinions and comfort of others above our own integrity. Over time, this will lead to feelings of resentment, bitterness, and a profound loss of self. If someone in your life does not accept or respect your authentic self, the healthiest course of action is to distance yourself from that person. The cost of staying in a relationship where you cannot be true to yourself is far too great. Sign 7. When you have grown apart and no longer share the same values, people grow and change throughout their lives, and sometimes we outgrow certain relationships. This is natural and doesn't always have to be dramatic or acrimonious. If you find that your values, priorities, or worldview no longer align with those of a friend or family member, it may be time to move on. In Stoicism, values like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline are paramount. If a relationship no longer reflects these values, if your interactions are filled with conflict, misunderstanding, or tension, because your fundamental principles have diverged, then it may be time to sever the connection. It's important to recognize that not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some are meant to serve a purpose during a particular phase of life, and then naturally fade as individuals grow in different directions. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who reflect our values. The people we associate with influence our thoughts, actions, and the overall course of our lives. If a relationship no longer serves your higher purpose, it is not a failure to walk away. Instead, it is a necessary step in maintaining your personal integrity and mental peace. Conclusion: Stoicism teaches us to live with intention, placing virtue and